Hello, gang. Looks like it's showing that we're live, so we are live. Listen, thank you so much, everybody that's here live. Those of you that couldn't make it and are going to watch this later, listen, ask all the questions you want to over in the chat, even when you're watching the replay or now. You can ask questions as we go along if you are live. And later, just ask those questions, and I'm going to set it up. So the nice thing about this Business Hangouts is I can get those sent directly to my email, and I can refer them to Peggy, who's in here with me, any time, and we'll get those questions answered for you if we can. Again, I'm Michael Daniels. I'm a top contributor, and I'm trying to help out the top contributors getting a little bit of exposure, but as well as some people don't know what the top contributor program is basically, and I'm going to screen share right now. This is the forum homepage where all of the, well, not all, I should say most of the spots and products for Google where you can get answers to your questions and support help and that kind of thing. And it's top contributor. Top contributor, what is that? That's people just like you and I who help other people out. We're users helping users, basically. And I'm going to put that link to the forums in there. It just showed up over in your chat. So you can click on that at any time, and you can open it up in your own browser, and you can see the same thing that I'm looking at is these buttons here. We're going to be talking about Google Plus. If you notice, Google Plus is one of those ones that is not on here. It just happens to be this time that's the case. So I just wanted to let everybody know that not all of them are here, but we do have those. And I can pop over to that community quickly. Peggy, why don't you say hey while I do that, okay?
Hey, everybody. I'm glad you could make it tonight. And today I'm going to be talking about getting started with the new Google Plus. As you probably know, there's a new Google Plus interface that was launched just over a year ago. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm personally a top contributor in the Google Plus help community. That's up on your screen right now. And it's a little bit different than in the forums, but we do help people the same way. The main difference is that we don't have any badge or anything. There's only thing that sets us apart from other users, besides answering a lot of questions, is we may have a moderator badge by our name, but you can see right now in the community that top contributor John Skeets is active, answering questions. There's probably some more.
And he always is. I will add. He's very active over there.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna stop and let people see you a little bit and get to see who you are, that kind of thing. Thank you. So first of all, Peggy, thank you so much for coming and doing this. I really, really do appreciate that. I had the pleasure of meeting you twice now in person. And I was so excited the first time. I was like, oh, we got to get a quick selfie. Because I've always heard about Peggy K, and so finally I got to meet Peggy K. So thank you.
It wasn't disappointing.
No, not at all. Not at all. It never is. And I will tell any of you that are out there too. Peggy, actually, let me tell you what, she's always responded and always been very helpful in many, many ways too. So to me personally, and I appreciate that.
And,
all right. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to mention that I'm not only a Google Plus top contributor, I'm also top contributor in Hangouts and in YouTube and Blogger and AdSense and Project Fi. So I kind of work at the intersection of all those different Google products usually. So if you have questions about that, I can answer that too.
So I guess you should have listed all the things that you are not in. That would have been a little shorter than this time.
Thanks, Andrew.
There's Andrew. Peggy is cool. There you go. And I'm sure Andrew feels the way I do. He was fortunate enough to meet you this time too, so that was kind of cool. So.
Oh yeah, and that's one great thing about the Top Contributor Program. It's not just about answering people's questions. You get to meet a lot of really great people, really enthusiastic, and really expert users too. So it's like you're building your own expertise, and you're getting to know great people. And then we have a meetup every year, every 2 years, and get to see each other in person, which is fantastic. So,
yep, absolutely. I know we got a lot to cover. We're 5 minutes in. I'm going to let you screen share And
Okay.
once you get that up, I'll let you get started. How's that?
Sounds good. Just give me a
All
moment
right.
here.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. All right. And looks like it's trying to come up. Let's see if it does. Put it on me till it does. Alrighty, here we are, and you're good.
Alrighty. So just to start out, I wanted to say that what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover a lot of territory in the talk. So that means it's going to move kind of fast, probably through parts of it. So please ask questions if you have questions. And ultimately, I will actually put a copy of the slides on my blog so that people can come back and look at them. I'll probably do that in the next week or so. So if you feel like things are moving too fast, just kind of try and get the general sense of it and can focus on the details later.
Yeah, and just so you know, folks, you can also come back here anytime and rewatch this and pause the video, et cetera, and that kind of stuff too as well. But I do encourage you to go see her blog. It's a really good blog. She's very inclusive in a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, before the end of this, if you would, let's put it over in the chat box. Just put a link to it. Just throw it over into the chat box and hit enter, and it'll go right up in. So it'll be up there too, Peggy, if you want to do that later.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yes, and folks, they're gonna see me. Just so you guys know, the business hangout end of it, there's gonna be like a little star next to. If I'm gonna try and bring your comment up, I don't always get them all up there just because whether time and everything. But I'm gonna try and answer all the ones I can, so that way you guys see that I'm gonna bring your question up on, and then when I do, we'll bring it up on screen, and I'll stop Peggy right in the middle if it pertains to what she's talking about at that time. All right. Go ahead, Peggy. I'm sorry to keep delaying there.
I just shared the link to my blog in the chat.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much for doing that. All right, fantastic.
So, and I also wanted to say, I know some of you are really experienced Google Plus users, been using it for years. And while I'm focusing on the basics of the new Google Plus, I'm hoping that everybody can kind of have a takeaway, new fact that they learn at least, because I admit, going through and organizing this and going through all the different options, I learned a few things that I had. I'm not sure if I never learned them or I forgot them, because there's so many different options in there that I think it helps to have a refresher. So hopefully you guys who are really active and are old timers on Google Plus find this interesting too.
Perfect. Rock and roll. It's all you.
Okay, and so I'm screen shared. Is that right?
You are. Yes, you're up on screen right now.
Okay. So I just wanted to start out by saying, what's the deal with Google Plus? First of all, I'm sure most of you know that Google Plus started out as something that was going to be a social layer across all of Google products, and it was going to give you a social identity. And Google moved away from that in about July of last year. They announced that it was going to be moving to a more interest-based site, and they started the process of separating Google Plus out from other Google products, including YouTube. So why join Google Plus? It's a place to find information and meet other people who are interested in the same sort of topics that you're interested in. And if you look around, you'll see people who are interested in not just technical geeky things, but fashion and photography and cooking and all kinds of topics. So that's the reason to be active on Google Plus, is to share content that you're interested in, to find other content, read posts and see other content that interests you, and meet people with similar interests. Now, this is just an overview of what I'm going to go through. And really quickly, the main steps, I think, to really getting going on Google Plus are reviewing your Google Plus profile, making sure it's all set up and all the information there is that you want. And then find interesting content to follow. Start engaging with that interesting content, comment on posts, reshare content, and then you can start sharing your own content. You can do that using collections. You can join communities of people with similar interests, and you can then really start to get a feel for how Google Plus can be a really engaging place to meet other people. I think one point I'd like to make is what it's not good for is just sharing a whole bunch of links and then not interacting with other people or their post in any other way. If all you do is share links, you're probably not going to have a very good time. So
yeah, I agree with you. Can I just add a little bit there?
Sure, sure.
This is one of the reasons why I love collections. If you have cats and stuff like that, and you throw them all in collections, and then if I want to follow your collection of cats because I'm interested in that, that's cool. But if you sell, garage parts, and you have all these videos on garages and stuff like that, and I'm not interested in that, I don't have to follow that part of it. So collections really, that's one thing that I love. If you think of other Twitter, Facebook, all that, it's just one long thread of everything. Yeah. So it's kind of like what you're talking about, just links.
Yeah.
To me, that's where collections comes in, and that's just my opinion. I'm throwing that out there, but okay, keep on going. I'm sorry.
I've got some nice slides about collections because I think collections are the way to go. All right. So first, to start out, I'm going to talk a little bit about your Google Plus profile, and one of the big differences between the new Google Plus interface and the old classic Google Plus is that in old classic Google Plus, you had a profile with lots of information displayed, a bunch of tabs. You could have a Photos tab and a YouTube tab, and all that information is there. The new Google Plus profiles are much more minimalist, and they are much more focused on your interests rather than having all this information just displayed. So if you have been using Google Plus for a while, I would recommend you look at your own profile while signed out of your account so you can see what other people are seeing when they visit your profile, because you might see some things that you want to tweak or add or change. So just to give you a look, this is what my profile looks like for someone who's not following me. And the things to notice.
And that is a selfie. I'm just telling everybody that is a selfie of Peggy K right there too.
So the public information is your name, your profile photo. There's a cover image up at the top that you can have a little tagline under your name if you want. And then underneath that, you can see that it shows my interests. And what they mean by interests are the collections I've created. And you can also have the communities that you belong to there. And what's important to recognize is that you can't actually control what exactly shows there. You can see there's only 4 little squares. Google Plus is placing those based on some parameters that they use. They haven't quite explained exactly how they choose that, but people can click the view all link to see all of your collections and all of your communities.
It's top secret.
and I just wanted to mention again, this is a reason to use collections because look, they're highlighted right there on your profile.
That's true.
If your goal is for people to see your posts, the collections again are the way to go. The other thing, so what happened to all that detailed information? I think that's a question a lot of people have, and that's all now under About. And if you look closer on the header, you'll see that there's a link that says About right next to the Following button. And if you click the About link, all of a sudden all this information pops up. And it's actually kind of a narrow pop-up window. What you see in the screenshot right now is on my small Chromebook. That's all I see when the entire screen is full window. So most of the information is cut off and people have to scroll through it. And that's one thing to keep in mind. If you write up an introduction, you might want to keep it kind of short and succinct so that people don't have to scroll as much. And as people scroll down, they can see other information that you've chosen to share. So
Let
for
me just
example,
add, can I add something real quick?
yeah,
One thing that I like to, and this is just me personally, I like to know where you're from. If I'm socializing with you or looking at you or trying to find out a little bit about you, even if
yeah.
it's just the state, or if it's in the United States, or if it's in the UK, whatever, just kind of, just even if it's vague, that's okay. I just think that's kind of cool to know where people are located. This is my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, I mean, the nice thing is you can choose what information you share under the about. Now, location is one thing. You can share links. You can share your contact information. And I just wanted to show on the right-hand side, if you scroll all the way down, there are your photos. Those are the public photos or photos that you shared with the person who's viewing it. And so if they click the option to see all of your photos, it opens not Google Plus anymore, because there are no Google Plus photos anymore. Instead, it opens your Google Album Archive, which is a whole separate topic. But I just wanted to point out that your public albums are still visible. And if you want to highlight them, you can even add them as a link to your profile, or even share the link to your own album archive on Google Plus. And that way people can click that and see all your public photos. So that's what a profile looks like to someone who is viewing it from the outside. If you want to then configure your own profile, it's really easy to do. All you do is click Profile on the left menu on Google Plus. That takes you to your own profile, and you see pretty much what everyone else sees, except there's an Edit Profile button. If you click the Edit Profile button, click the Edit Profile button, it lets you change the basic viewable aspects of your profile. That includes your profile photo, the cover image. In this particular one, it's showing one of the default Google Plus cover images. So I haven't actually added my own one there. And you can add a tagline, which mine should be a lot shorter than what I have written there, because mine always gets cut off. And you can turn on or off which of your communities that you belong to actually appear to the public on your profile. So you might belong to some communities that maybe you don't want to advertise, I don't know, 70s disco community or whatever. And you can actually turn it off so that when people view your profile, they don't see that there.
Have you been looking at mine or something? I was just
I say nothing. I say nothing.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So you can configure all these things, but you notice that it doesn't actually include all that detailed information. To change all those detailed information, you have to click About. And what that does is it opens an entirely different new page on your Google account. There's a page called About Me. It's aboutme.google.com. You can change it directly. And that's information that's shared between different Google products. So in particular, your name will be the same name that you have on Google Plus and YouTube and for Gmail. And then there's all these boxes with information. And to change the information, you can just click the little pencil icon. That lets you edit the information. So you can add an introduction. You can add your links to your websites. You can add your contact information. And there's more card options if you click the plus, the red plus button. The other thing to notice is that there are visibility. You can change the visibility of the information. So you can decide who actually sees which details on your account. There are basically three options. The information can be public, then it'll be a globe, and you can see sort of near the bottom right, there's the tagline section. There's a globe icon there. It's because the tagline is always public. That means public. It can be completely private information that only you see, that will have a lock. And then there's a third option where you can decide where certain people that you follow on Google Plus can see some of the information. To do that, you need to put people that you follow into circles, and I'm going to talk just a little bit about circles later on. But the idea is that I could make a circle, for example, of my immediate family. So I'm following, all the people in my immediate family. They're in a circle on Google+, and then I can say, the people in that circle can see my location, for example, or the people in that circle can see my birthday. So you can control who can see the information. The other thing I want to mention really briefly is that the About Me page is the only place where you can change your name. And because the name is shared across Google products, you need to consider that if you're changing it to something other than your real name. So if you change it to something really goofy, people who receive Gmail emails from you may see that goofy name. If you want to use a different identity for different Google products, so a different name on Google Plus than you use on Gmail, or a different name on YouTube than you use on Google Plus, the two options are to either make a whole new Google account or to create a brand account. And brand accounts are kind of complicated and beyond the scope of what I'm talking about here, but they're sort of a sub-account that lets you have a different identity, often for a business or brand.
We actually kind of talked about that too in the green room when we were talking ahead of time, that we might even have just a whole thing dedicated just to that. So we might do that in the future.
Yeah, people are interested, and it's a good topic. So that's like, this is 101, that's level 201. And I think the other thing I wanted to mention, it's on the list. If you want to use just one name instead of a first name and a last name, or a first name and a last initial, you can just put a period as the last name, and that should not display anywhere, but that lets you just have a single name. But the most important thing to remember is that name changes are actually limited. So if you change your name, you might actually have to wait 90 days to change it again. So don't change it to anything you wouldn't be happy with keeping for at least 90 days. And I mention that because people definitely change their name, or as a joke, or sometimes they have a friend or somebody who has access to their account change their name to something really stupid or silly, and then they can't change it back for 3 months. So just keep in mind, you can only change your name to something that you actually want to keep. So anyway, that's your profile. Once you've set all that up, I think you're ready to go. And the next step
Hey, real quick, Peggy, because it's related to what you just mentioned, I'm just going to bring it up. Mark asked, is it the same for Google Apps accounts, Google for Business? He just brought it up.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Most things are the same, but I know there are some differences where Google Apps administrators can change some things. And so I don't know, but that's a good question.
Yep. I wrote it down. We'll see if we can find out an answer.
So the next thing to do is to find some good content to follow. And I'm going to start out talking about collections, which we mentioned before, because one thing that you'll discover is if you make a new Google Plus account, the first thing Google does is redirect you to the featured collections page. They want you to start on collections. They want you to start following collections. And so it makes sense. That's where you should start, even if you're already on Google Plus. To find new collections, you can just click Collections on the left menu again, and then that will take you to the collections page, and there's a tab that has recommended collections, featured collections. You can see that there's a whole bunch of different topics, and every time you refresh the page, you'll probably see different collections there. And you can scroll through them, and anything that catches your eye, you can follow. And one thing that Google does is if you click the option to follow, and on the screenshot, I'm clicking one that's on an astronomy collection, Google Plus will actually then display 4 more collections with similar topics. So you can find more posts in the same areas really kind of populate your home stream with content that you're interested in. A few more places where you can join collections. When you're in their home stream, you may see featured collections there. Again, you can follow, just click that follow button. Sometimes someone may share a collection into their stream, and there's a follow button on that shared collection. You can visit someone's profile, and like I mentioned before, the collections that they have will be displayed right there at the top of their profile. You can click View All and see all of their collections. And I have about, I'm not sure, I probably have about 12
500
public ones. No,
500. No. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
There actually is a limit. So you don't try and make 100 collections, because not possible. And the other thing you can do is when you see a post that's in a collection, the collection name will be right up at the top of the post in blue. Blue means a collection. You can click that to view the collection itself, see the content of the collection, and follow it. And the other thing that's actually, I think, is kind of neat is that when you're viewing some posts on the post page, what you'll see is related collections underneath the post itself. So again, that's another way to find content that you're interested in. And hopefully by now you're sort of getting the idea that collections is the way to go if you want to get your content viewed on Google+, because that's what Google+ is featuring to other users. A couple other things about collections: you can actually be notified of all new posts in a collection. All you need to do is follow the collection and then go to the collection page and click the little bell icon. And then you'll start being notified. So for example, I get notifications for the product updates posted by the Google+ page, the official Google+ page. And the last thing you can do is what Michael mentioned at the beginning. If you're following a person or page, but you're not interested in all the content they post, you can unfollow collections that they post. So in this example, this is the official Google+ page. And because I'm following the page, I'm automatically following all their collections. But I'm not really interested in the last one where, it's talking about saving the earth or whatever. That's not my thing. So I just, where it says following, I click following. That unfollows it. And you can tell it's unfollowed because the word goes from following to follow again. And then once I've done that, I will no longer see that content in my stream. And while this is kind of, not necessarily the best example, it's really great if somebody is posting on very different topics, some of which you might be interested in, some of which you aren't interested in. Like you might be interested in someone's posts about cooking, but not their posts about politics. Or some people post in more than one language. So you might want to only see their English posts, but not their posts in other languages, and so forth. So collections let users decide what they want to see in their own stream. And that's great. So that means, yeah, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to make sure and clarify. Everyone that is in your circles, automatically you are following until you unfollow them. Is that correct?
Yes. So,
and I might be jumping ahead. I just want to make sure that you could go into featured collections or no, what is it? It's one of the collection ones where you can see everybody that's in your circles has a following there.
So it's slightly more complicated than that. In that, so the default is if you add someone to your circles, you are following all their collections. But when you set up a collection yourself, you can actually set it so that people don't automatically follow it. So that may happen, although I suspect people don't actually choose that option very often. But you might do that if you think that most of your followers might not be interested in that particular topic.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. I just learned something new.
Yeah. Yeah. There's all kinds of settings like that. It's really... It's like you have to keep refreshing your knowledge to keep up with all the different things. Okay. So what you brought up, the next thing is you can actually, instead of following collections, you can actually follow a person or a page. And there's a lot of reasons why you might want to do that. You might want to see everything that they post, so it makes sense to follow them directly. They may not use collections, which is unfortunately the case for a lot of people and pages. So if you're following them directly, you will see all their public posts and any posts that they share with you. And following people lets you put them into circles. And circles is another level of organization that I'll talk about in a bit. But basically, it's a way to control what other people can see and how they can communicate with you. So to follow someone, all you need to do is go to their profile, click the follow button. That's all you need to do. The other option is if you see a post, someone who seems really interesting, you can move your cursor over their profile image and there'll be a little card that pops up, a hover card pops up. There's also a follow link on the hover card. And once you do that, you'll be following that person and you will see their posts on your home screen. But as I mentioned, the next level after following people is to organize people into circles. And this is completely optional, but I think this is actually one of the greatest features that Google Plus has. And it's one of the things that sets apart Google Plus from a lot of other social networks.
Hey, one thing real quick before we get off of this, because I mean, Jen brought up a question. So I just want to make sure, because since we were talking about collections, we'll come right back to that, I promise. So collections are, here's what he says, John says, so collections are subsets of a particular user's content. Collections do not extend beyond a single user's posts.
That is correct. A collection is only posts from one user. There's no way to make a collaborative collection with posts from multiple users. And the way I think of a collection is that it's like posting something into into a file folder or something like that, where you have different topics. So you pick a bin for the post to go into. And
I mean, I kind of I call it a magazine, because a magazine has a bunch of different articles that I put in there that are helpful in this particular topic.
That's actually a much better analogy, much more interesting than a file folder anyway. Yeah.
At least that's the way I do it. To me, it's a magazine that I'm interested in. If I'm interested in Time Magazine, there's all kinds of different articles and different things from different people that I put into that magazine.
Yes.
And then I just show them my magazine. So that's the way I explain it.
Mm-hmm. And it's up to the person who creates the collection how narrow or broad the topic is. Because there's some people who have very, very narrow topics, like pictures of cats with funny hats or something like that, where other people have really broad collections where it might be animals in general. So look around, see what you're interested in. Maybe you're interested in the broader topics.
Yep. He has one more thing to add to that. Is it possible to search collections by topic and find a topic collection of a user I've not yet circled?
Yes. You can go to the collections page, click collections on your left menu, and you can do a search there, or you can just go to the Google Plus search page and search for any topic. And Google Plus should return search results that are related to that topic. And at least in some cases, it's good enough to return collections in the search results that don't even have that term in the title of the collection. So it's often smart enough to know what it is you're looking for. So give that a try.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Look for things by topic. But I would suggest that if you are creating collections of your own, that making the title or tagline of the collection descriptive is good, because people are more likely to follow it if they have an idea of what it's actually all about.
Nice. Yeah, he's just clarifying too, so that search is not limited to my circles, is what he wanted to bring
Exactly.
up.
Exactly.
Yep.
It searches all of Google Plus.
Which is great. That's fantastic, because that way you can find other things that you might be interested, and you might even follow that person because of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great way to
All right.
find new people that you're not familiar with.
Exactly. All right. We're gonna keep moving because we got, I want to keep this rolling. So go ahead. Circles.
So quickly, I know we're fast. Now, I just want to talk about circles really briefly. If you click people on the left menu, it will show you who you're following, and it will show you any circles that you've created. And this is my test account, which is why it's not following very, very many people. But
I'm just glad to be in your test account. My goodness, that's awesome.
but if you want to create a circle to organize the people that you're following, there is a create circle link. All you need to do is click that and name it, and the circle's been created.
Well, I want to add something to that. I want to add something to that real quick. If you have a lot of circles, like I'm a Google Plus, I've been on Google Plus since it's been on, you have to scroll all the way down to find that. I'm just letting people know that.
It is.
It's all the way at the bottom.
This is one thing that's more complicated in the new Google Plus than it was in classic Google Plus, but the options are there. They're just a little bit harder to find. To add someone to a circle, you first follow them, and then you click the following button, and you'll see then the circles that you've created, and you can just add them to one or more circles. If you want to organize your circles more, you can also do that from the people page in your account. You just click the circle that you want to modify, and then click the member of that circle to change where they are included. And you can also change your circle settings. And just really briefly, the settings that I think are most useful is that you can change what amount of posts from that circle appear in your home stream. You can change it to fewer posts, the standard amount of posts, or more posts. So if you have a bunch of really prolific posters that you're following, you might want to put them in a circle that you set to fewer posts in your home stream. You can always then just view the stream from that circle. So that lets you also control what you're seeing. And then just again, really briefly, the other thing you can do is join a community. And that not only lets you see information about your interests, but let you meet other people with similar interests. So you just click the communities option on the left menu again. It takes you to the communities page where you can find communities you can join. Again, you can do a search for community by topic. You can join the community right from the search results. I don't actually recommend you do that. I think it's much better to actually open the community and see what the posting is like there. Make sure it's not a community that's just full of spam. Make sure that the rules are something that you're willing to follow, because some communities are really strict about what can be posted, others aren't.
Can I add real quick?
Yeah.
Communities are green, collections are blue. I know you said collections were blue.
Yes.
Communities is green, just so you know. And here's why I say that, because this search that up at the top that she's talking about, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my interpretation. That's why I want to get a clarification here. That's not going to search just for communities. That searches all of Google Plus.
Yes. Actually, when you go to the Google Plus search page, it's gray at the top. And,
okay.
and it separates out search results that are people and collections and communities. I think
right,
it's
exactly.
Well labeled.
Okay. So the thing is, if you search up here, though, I just want people to understand this is not searching community, because if those of you that are familiar with the old Google Plus, and I don't want to tie down to old Google Plus, you could search just for communities. You can't do that right now. Right. Okay. Right. I just want to make sure and clarify that. I want to make sure I was right.
That is actually a good point.
Thank you, Peg.
And I just wanted to mention really, really quickly, communities could be a whole topic in and of itself, but there are settings within the community itself that I recommend you check, because that lets you, again, set whether you see community posts in your home stream and how much of the community posts you see in your home stream. It also lets you choose how the posts in the community are sorted. Currently, the default is that the posts are sorted by top posts rather than chronologically. So if it's important to you to see every post within a community, you may want to switch that to from top posts to the most recent post sort order. And then you can also enable or disable notifications of new posts in the community. So again, this is, once you've done this, you've followed some people, you've followed some collections, you've joined some communities. Now your Google Plus home stream should have some good content in it, right? Interesting content. And the next step is to actually start engaging with that content. And to do that, you have a post. This is what the bottom of the options on a post are. You can plus the post to show that you like it. You can comment on the post, or you can share the post. Commenting on the post, just by clicking the comment area or the little speech balloon icon, lets you type text. It also, you can add an image or you can add a link. To add an image, you can just drag and drop it into the comment, or you can click the little camera icon. Similarly, a link, you can just paste it in, or you can click the little link icon. And once you do that, you get a preview of what the comment is going to look like, and then you can post it. And the only thing I'll say is that if you're going to post an image, pick carefully what image you post, because some people may not appreciate having really off-topic
I agree.
added it to the comments of their posts.
I agree. Now, as the owner of that post, though, can I not delete that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
if they don't like it, they can delete it. Is that true?
They can delete the whole comment.
Oh, that's true. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so yes, the person who makes the post can moderate the comments on their own posts, and they can remove anything that they don't like. So the best thing to do is to be thoughtful and be sure you're posting things on topic.
I agree.
Yeah. And the last thing I wanted to mention is sharing a post. And it's a little bit different than it used to be. It used to be you would just reshare things on Google+. Now, when you click the share icon, you have multiple options. You can share on Google+, obviously. That's also, though, you have the option to copy the link of the post. And that is the easiest way to get the link of the post, to share an email, share on another social site, share wherever. You can also share directly to Facebook and Twitter if you want to. So really, the idea is that the content posted on Google Plus is meant to not just be on Google Plus like sort of a walled garden. Instead, it's meant to be shared more broadly than that.
And Peggy, just correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe you can embed anymore. You can't embed a post somewhere.
No, there is no, as best I can tell, embedded posts still are embedded. So it's still, if you've already embedded posts in your website, that still works.
They're there.
But there's no option to get code to embed posts.
Okay.
But if that's a feature you want, send feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is, I just wanted to cover really briefly about how to make a collection, because like we've been talking about, collections are the way to go. And so it's really easy. You just click, again, collections on the left menu in Google Plus, and then make sure you're on the tab that says yours. Those are your collections, and you'll see a big white button there to create a new collection. Just click that button, and you'll be able to create a collection, add the name, pick who the collection's visible to. Now, collections can be public. You can share a collection with just one or more of your circles. So that's another reason to use circles. You can easily use a circle just to post to a limited group of people. Or you can make a completely private collection that's only visible to yourself. And I just wanted to put a plug in for why you'd want to make a private collection. I actually use a private collection for two things. One is for bookmarking links. I have a private bookmarking collection that I share interesting links into, and it's just a place so I can easily come back and find those links later. The other private collection I have is for sending private messages to people. If you have a private post in a private collection and you plus mention someone's name, they will see that private post, but they won't see any other private post in that private collection. So what that lets you do is share a private post with someone as a private message, and then you can go back to your private messages collection and find all the private posts that you've made. So it's a way of organizing it and going back to those posts.
That is fantastic. I never knew that. So just by plus mentioning their name allows them to see that one post within that collection?
Exactly. Exactly.
Very, very, very nice. I love that because I do a bookmark too, but I do it with communities.
Yes.
I set up,
It's the
I
same
call it my
idea.
I call it my DVR community. And I just, anytime I'm somewhere, I just throw that in there. And I now use spaces for that, but that's a whole different thing. I know I don't want to confuse everybody. But anyway, go ahead. This is awesome. And I learned something again. Thank you. Go ahead.
And then, once you create it, you then see the option to change the cover image, pick a color, and as I mentioned before, you can turn off the option for people who follow you to automatically follow the collection. That's that little switch down at the bottom. So if you start posting on a topic that you think your current followers probably aren't interested in, you might want to turn that off so that they're not automatically seeing those posts in their own stream.
Oh, nice. I like that. Okay. So that's interesting. So say that again, just to clarify exactly what you just.
So the idea is normally, if the default is to have that option turned on. If someone follows you, then they would follow that collection automatically. What this lets you do is turn that off on a collection by collection basis. And that setting can be, I'm pretty sure that setting can be changed later on. So then you turn it on and off, I believe.
Nice.
So, collections really have a lot of nice
features. A lot of power.
They do. Mm-hmm.
And so let me ask you this. Okay, real quick. You said circles. Okay. With those circles, you can share a collection to a circle. Can I add a circle later?
No. Once you set the visibility, it cannot be changed.
Okay, that's a good thing to know.
And that's really the same as in classic Google+. When you share a post privately, you can't later make it public or vice versa.
Or community or whatever.
Or communities or anything. And part of that has to do with managing people's expectations, because if it's a private discussion, it would be bad if you could all of a sudden make it public.
That's true. Good point.
So anyway, I just wanted to mention then posting options. You can post from the home stream into a community, into a collection, from your profile. There's usually a posting box up at the top of any of those pages, and there will be a button at lower right that looks like a pencil icon, and that floats on top of it. So as you scroll down through the stream, you can always start a new post by clicking that button. And once you create a post, the first thing you should do is set the audience of the post. I mention that because the default is for the audience to say the same as your previous post. So if you posted a question in the Google+ Help community, the next time you create a Google+ post, it will go into the Google+ Help community again unless you change the audience. And I mention that because it happens to people all the time. They ask a question, they get a response, they then post, a cool photo with their family, and it ends up in the Google+ Help community also, even though they didn't mean to do that. So check at the very top of the posting window. In my example, it's set to public. You can just click whatever audience is there. It will show your most recently used destinations, whether it's a community or a collection or a circle. If you don't see the one you want to post to, click see more, and you can search then and access all of your collections, all of your communities, all of your circles or individuals. So it's important, just do that first, because then you won't accidentally post to the wrong place. And I think I posted to the wrong place. It happens all the time.
Yes. I totally agree with that. And I've done like, let's say I was in the last community I was in, our user to user community. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there writing a post, and I'm sitting there going along, even though I'm on the main page. I'm not even in user community. I'm in the main page on my home, feeds. And I sit there and I start typing in this message to this person, and I plus mention somebody. And all of a sudden it goes into user to user instead of the public where I wanted it. I'm like, oh, that's not at all what I want.
It happens. Yeah. So big reminder. And there's not enough time to go through all this in detail, but I just wanted to mention really quickly the different kinds of posts you can make. It can just be plain text. You can share a link. You can share images. You can make a poll. And you can also share your location if you want to do that. I think and you can plus mention people. And this is what we've been talking about, where you type a plus, you start listing their name, and you'll see a list of options. And you can select the person to mention. They will then be notified of that post. And even if it's a private post, it will be visible to whoever you plus mentioned in the post. It gets shared with them. So if you share images, you can actually drag and drop the images right into the post. That's a recent feature that they just added.
I like that too, to be honest with you.
And it's easy, really easy to drag and drop.
It is.
But if you don't want to drag and drop, just click the little camera icon. That will give you the option to either upload a new photo or select one of your recent images that's already uploaded to your Google account. The recent images really only works well with images that are recent, because otherwise you'd be scrolling forever trying to find the image you want. So the alternative is, if you have images, photos in Google Photos, to share the images from Google Photos to Google Plus, rather than trying to start on Google Plus.
Exactly.
Images. It's actually really easy to do. You just go into Google Photos, select the images you want to share, click the share button, click Google Plus, and you're all set.
And keep in mind, these things that she's telling you, as far as drag and drop, obviously that's on computer. You can't do that on your phones.
Yes.
But a lot of the same features and a lot of the same things are on mobile as well. But obviously some of the things you don't have. So.
I was going to say, all of the things I'm talking about today, the screenshots from today, are on desktop. And most of the things are the same or similar in the mobile app, but not identical. So if you're on a mobile device, it might not look quite the same. The other thing I wanted to mention is, if you have multiple images that you're sharing in one post, you can organize them. There's like a little icon on the images where it looks like an equal sign and a circle. That's for dragging the images back and forth. You can change the order of the images in the post. Or you can click the X to remove any ones you don't want. You can share links. Again, you can either just paste the link into the post, or you can click the little link icon. And if you want to share from a website, a lot of websites have a Google Plus sharing button on them. So an easy way to share, for example, from a Blogger blog or from YouTube, you click the sharing button to Google Plus, and a posting window will just pop up right there on that website. So look for that if you are browsing the web and you see something you want to share. You can create a poll. You just click the icon that looks like a little bar graph, and you can add up to 5 different choices, and each of them can have their own image. And then people can vote on your poll. And one other thing I wanted to mention is that there are settings for posts. You can click the little 3-dot menu icon at top right of the post window, and you can turn off comments and sharing on the post. So if you have a post you really don't want to get any direct responses to, you can turn those on. And I think the last thing I wanted to mention is scheduling posts. Scheduling posts is not a feature on Google+, but you can use third-party tools like Hootsuite or Buffer or Friends Plus Me. But the drawback of using those to schedule posts is that most of them actually will not post into collections. Instead, they will only let you post to public. Friends Plus Me, though, I'm pretty sure lets you post to a collection. So that's one to look into if that's what you want to do. And just as a last thing, you can there's also a notifications option on the left menu. If you click notifications, you end up on a notifications page. You can then click the notification to see whatever it is, or you can mark them as read by just clicking the check mark to the right of the notification. And you can also view just the unread notifications if you want, which is good. If you get a lot of notifications, it can be hard to sort out the read ones from the unread ones sometimes. So,
yeah.
so that is...
I wish they had plus messages.
Oh, no.
Mentions.
Go ahead.
I wish they had plus mentions. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, that's good. And really that your notification should be your plus mentions, because that's why you're getting a notification anyway.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Should be essentially. Hey, if you go back one screen, can you go back one screen real quick? And you may, I don't know if you're going to finish on this, but very important to me, and you've seen many, many posts from me, probably you have, and a lot of people that follow me, I always talk about sending feedback.
Yes.
I don't know if you were going to go into that, but if you are, then I won't say anything, but I really think that's important. Okay, thank you. Okay. I jumped the gun. My bad. Keep going. Okay. And folks, we're going an hour. We normally do 45, but I knew this one would be an hour, and I know that you guys are interested, so I'm going to keep going as long as I don't hold Peggy up at all.
This is really just me wrapping it up. So really,
okay, fantastic.
Fantastic. If there's something that you'd like to see work differently, if you think that there's a feature missing, send feedback. Send feedback. Don't just make a public post. Click the send feedback button. You do that, you get the option to take a screenshot and include a screenshot with parts of it highlighted. And that goes directly to the Google Plus team. They read it all. They are interested in hearing your feedback. They want people to be happy with Google Plus. So send feedback.
Amen.
And that pretty much is just that. That is my overview. I just wanted to briefly mention that there's a bunch of features that were in classic Google Plus that are not in the new Google Plus. Like I mentioned, your profile, most of that information is on the About Me page. Hangouts is no longer part of Google Plus. Hangouts on Air are over on YouTube. There isn't really a replacement for events. So you're not going to see a one-to-one identical set of features on the new Google Plus, but there are alternatives if one of those things is what you want to do. And if you have questions, please just ask. Otherwise, send feedback about what
there you go. Awesome. Right, some of these were just statements, so I might bring them up and talk about them, because I like to recognize the people that are in the audience that show up live. I always like to bring them on. So I'm going to just let me bring up Mark's comment here. He says, and some of these just might be comments, not necessarily questions. I love the new Google Plus because I can post to a collection or public without posting to extended circles and avoid spam triggers.
I have to chew on that a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not sure that necessarily posting to a collection avoids spam. Oh, unless you were, so maybe you can clarify. Who asked that? I can't remember.
That was Mark. Yeah. If Mark want to clarify if he's still in here.
Yeah, and I think what you're talking about is in the classic Google Plus, you can share to a Google Plus circle, like extended circles, and to public at the same time. So if you share to public and extended circles at the same time, all those people in your extended circles get a notification of that post, whether they're interested in it or not. And those can be marked as spam. I have sometimes marked things as spam when people share them with me, because I get when you're getting a bunch of notifications about people sharing posts with you that you don't know who the people are and you're not interested in, then you could end up being marked as spam. So that isn't possible in the new Google Plus. And again, you can share to collections instead, and people can then choose to follow or unfollow that collection or be notified of new posts in the collection. So the notifications, instead of pushing the notification from you, the person who's posting it, instead it's the viewer on the other end who can choose whether they're notified or not of the new post.
Right, gotcha. Okay, I get that now. Okay, I see what you're saying on that one. Okay, real quick, I'm going to pull up a couple of these just because they threw them in there, and I like to recognize some people. Wow, I can't find a communities option on the old Google Plus. Thanks, and I think he's talking about the what I mentioned, the search.
Yes, yeah,
but it's there in the old one.
I would say at this point you should be using the new Google Plus interface, and that's there's something you really desperately need in the old one, because Google Plus has moved on from the classic interface. They're not developing new things for the old interface anymore. There's new things happening with the new Google Plus. For example, I mentioned the drag and drop images. So yeah, I'm glad you like that tip. That's one of my favorite things, and I use it. It's one of those things, once you know how it works, you think, gosh, why haven't I done that all along?
Yeah, exactly. John Brown says, what a great tip on the plus mention to show a private post with a single individual. And Andrew mentioned a little something about that as well. So I wanted to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's see. And Michael Thomas says, yep, I already attempted that fail edit and figured out I had to set up a brand new collection with who I wanted to share it to with bro Mike. Yeah, so he's talking to me. He's talking to me. Yep, I know. Trust me, I've been there, done it. So, okay, let's see. And then Andrew, I think this is when we were talking about, and then they get marked as a spammer.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. And let's
Don't
see,
do anything that might look like spamming, for sure.
I agree. I agree. Yep, I still haven't figured out how to screenshot on my mobile yet, but I have no problem on my laptop. I love it. That's fun. Go right to this one real quick. Can people take my posts from my collections and post them to another collection that they're not involved?
Okay, so if you make a post in a collection and I see that post, I can reshare that post into one of my collections. Now, it's not the same post anymore. Now it's my post that's a reshare of your post. So the answer is yes, people can.
Okay. Okay, I got you. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that. That's good though. I mean, because I guess you're trying to share similar information, and if it's in that collection, then you can share it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Am I saying
just like a post that's public.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So like a private one, you wouldn't be able to, obviously, because if it's just you, then you wouldn't be able to do that. Or if you're part of that circle that's private, it's not going to let you. Correct?
Oh, thank you.
What? You were reading that? There you go. Peggy, this is Michael Thomas. Peggy is absolutely my highest inspiration on Google Plus, and I couldn't possibly hold or admire her insights.
You're making me blush.
Now
thank you very much.
Now Michael Thomas knows exactly how I felt when I went and I met her in person. So there you go. Let's see. Steffi Black says, when I went on Google Plus and I could not find the Google Plus Hangouts button, just Hangouts dealer. I'm not sure what that means, and you might, but am I supposed to download it again?
Steffi, are you on a mobile device? Because I'm guessing that you mean the Hangouts dialer, which is for making phone calls through Hangouts. And that's only on mobile devices. Only.
That very well might be. That's a good point. I don't know that. Dealer. She said dealer.
But you should have the main Hangouts app somewhere. On desktop, Hangouts has their own website, hangouts.google.com, that you can always use.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're on desktop. I'm not sure what you're looking at on desktop, but if you want to do Hangouts, google.com. Hangout. Yeah, you can always start a Hangout there and manage your Hangouts at hangouts.google.com.
And it puts it in its own separate tab and everything. It has it all there. If you want to use the Chrome extension, you can also do that. Mm-hmm. And I'll show a screen share to show you guys a little trick that I do when I have, if you look at my window right now, ignore the main part here. I'll put Peggy up on screen. So there you go. Okay. So if you look at my screen right now, which I have to put it on me in order for you guys to see it out there. So ignore all the bleed in there, but see, this is my Hangout. And then I always have the Hangouts. This is an option that I have it sitting behind there. So I can see if anybody posts anything along this column along here. So I kind of have it overlap. It's kind of like a hidden trick that I do. So I always have Hangouts showing between the two windows of whatever I'm using. So that's just my way. It's kind of a silly workaround kind of thing, but that's what I do. Just kind of showing that as a trick. And then Andrew says, let's see. The trouble is that they aren't improving the new interface quickly enough. There you go.
Well, we can't see what's happening behind the scenes. And I assume they're working hard at it and making sure everything is working right before, adding in a lot of new features. Get the basics working right, then add the fancy stuff.
Absolutely. And Steffi says, thank you, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
And then Michael Thomas, real quick. We'll get to a couple more. I'd really like to end up here. Just like I said, I don't want to be all night. So, yes, I'm always attempting to credit where I got the post from, and I always try to give credit to the original creator. And if someone takes it from me and shares it with to their collection, I would expect them to do the same. But it doesn't always work out that way, LOL. And you know what? I totally agree with him. I try to do that every single time I can. I put a H/T, and those of you that don't know what H/T is, it's a hat tip to that particular person, and I plus mention them. So I love that. I think that's great. I mean, I always try and do that. Even when I create my videos, I try and put the credit of anybody that helped me out with a picture or something like that, or anything that they contribute in any way. Even if it's music that's already given on YouTube that they give us for free, I still try to recognize where that came from and who it's from. That's me, though.
Yeah, I think that's just basic etiquette to acknowledge where you got the post from. But I think one thing to keep in mind is that when people view your original post, there is a little link there that says show activity on the post, and people can click that, and when they do that, it's like the card flips over, and you can see who plussed it and who shared it right there.
Yep, that's a great point. And we're going to say this for the last comment right here, which I think is great. How can we watch this again? All right. Well, the thing is you can absolutely, now if you've added it to your calendar, it'll always be on your calendar. You can always go back, click the link, find the link that's in the calendar. If you didn't add it to your calendar, this same link that got you in here is the one that you can always, it's evergreen. You can always come back to it. You can always come back to it. And here is the link, and I will post it in here. You can just click that link right now, save it, copy, and here, I'll make it so it's copyable where it's not a link, so that way you actually get all of it, because they truncate it when it's a link. But there's the actual one. Just take the apostrophe out of it, and it should work for you, and you can come back anytime. And as I mentioned before at the beginning, if you leave a comment in here, I'm going to leave comments going. This is evergreen. It'll be on forever. So if anybody comes back and watches this and they have a question, I'm going to refer that, and I'll get an email, sends me an email. That's what I love about this program. Sends me an email, and I'll send that email to Peggy and say, Peggy, this is a question that so-and-so had. Do you mind answering it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Is this also going to be on your YouTube channel?
I will. One thing I do is I let it sit in here in Business Hangouts for a week, and then I make it a public YouTube video afterward. It's unlisted right now, so I get people in here to leave the comments. And then I make it evergreen on YouTube afterward, after a week.
Cool.
Okay, so that's just my process of doing that. But
it's kind of nice to keep it exclusive here for a little bit.
And
as I mentioned before, I will be putting together a blog post where I embed my slideshow so people can peruse them at their leisure.
Nice. Folks, I'm going to go. Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I had a great time. Thank you so much for inviting me. And
absolutely.
Maybe we can do it again sometime.
No, we're going to do it again because I know there's more stuff on Google Plus that we could go over. Just like you said, we could extend this into more on communities and how we can use them in different applications for different things. So, yeah, if you're up for it, I would love to have you back. Absolutely.
Maybe in the new year sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again. God bless you for coming. I love you to death.
Thank you for inviting me.
That's all right. And folks, listen, you guys, like I said, if you want to watch the replay, come back and watch the replay. I'm going to go head on, and Peggy and I will talk a little bit before I go. But folks, thank you very much for showing up, those of you Right now we have 12 viewers out there, and I appreciate you guys. And Peggy, once again, thank you. And I'm going to end the broadcast. All right.
Great.